All right. We are bringing Derp Fam in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to episode 207 of the Guardian Hub podcast, where we talk Destiny, interview guests, and talk about our love of the game. And this week, not only do we have love of the game, but we have love of a very special guest. You may recognize this name if you've been in the community for a while. What's the name, Sin? Putting Sin on the spot.
Right.
And I'm totally muted.
You helped organize this first.
But some know him as Lance. Others know him from Destiny Reset podcast as AER0KNIGHT.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Hey.
Thanks for having me.
I
I felt like it might be like reflex to say hello and welcome, Guardians.
I would kind of
That
expect
would've
at this point. I might fanboy a little bit.
Yeah. Ba-dum-bum-ba-bum-bum-bum.
Yep. Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah, we're great. Hopefully you're doing good, like Sin said. It's so funny. Like, okay, let's just put it out here first. But like people that listen to our podcast, sometimes we get comments like, oh man, it's like so cool that you do that. And oh, I got to play with Sin. Well, no one really says that, but I got to play with Kingsley or I got to play with Dez back in the day. But now it's like, we're like, oh wow, we're talking to AER0KNIGHT. And it's only because, you guys were the first podcast I listened to, so I still respect that. So,
Dude, it seems like forever ago. I guess it was a bit ago, but you guys now, we were talking about this the other day. You met as part of the Derp Fam, right? Like this awesome thing you guys have and have had going for almost longer than our show went at this point, I think. Pretty close.
but yeah, we met through DRP.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's so awesome. Well, I appreciate the talking to AER0KNIGHT on the podcast, but dude, it's you guys' podcast is very similar, and I've caught the last several episodes. But like Cyborg and I always did, it was just party chat, man. It was just a couple of guys hanging out, playing Destiny, talking Destiny, and other Guardians enjoy it. It's cool. It's just a couple of other Guardians doing the thing and experiencing what everybody does, right?
Yeah, exactly. And
For sure.
and that's why it is one of these things that everyone has different styles of what they like to do for their shows. There's other Destiny podcasts out there, and I feel like we've also gotten in a good groove where it's still fun for us right now, so we're still going.
Mm-hmm.
So don't want to make it too much work.
No, for sure. Yeah, and that was always a thing for Cyborg and I. It was always fun. We both enjoyed creating content, and the Derp Fam, it was just always about they kept it awesome. The community was amazing. You guys were amazing. And it's like, this is fun. We're going to make this fun. We want it to be fun for our team. And, it's one of those things. It's like they're just so many things started going on. And it's crazy. It was actually just right before COVID, and it wasn't even right in the midst of that. But at some point, it would be fun to do like because we started to taper off just a little bit. The shows got a little bit further apart there when we got into the later 200s, but I guess mid 200s. But it was like a reunion show or something would be really cool. I'm not saying it'll happen or it could happen, but I'm just saying it would be fun.
Oh sure, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with even that, and then pausing again or stopping, whatever. But it's so fun to bring people together. And one thing I want to mention, in case anyone's not sure what we're saying by DRP or DRP, that stands for Destiny Reset. And you probably have heard us say that in the past, but I just wanted to let anyone know who wasn't quite sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't even remember. At some point, I always liked the idea of using family it was just like it's similar to your community. It's a cool thing for the community. It's kind of a warm thing. It just brings people together. It's kind of a strong word. And somewhere Dirt Fam came along. I don't even remember who came up with it, and it just turned into a thing. And I know you just assume people know what that means, and it probably sounds like a really weird made up word if they don't.
Everyone should know. If
Yeah.
you don't know, then shame on you.
Good stuff.
But
on the know.
yeah, but I mean, that's always fun, and we may talk more about that as we go on the show. But you have some really cool ventures and things you're working on right now, so maybe tell us a little bit, and then I do have some questions about you. But tell us what you're working with. I believe you have an endmuser gaming channel and all the such in Discord.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So just briefly, leading into that, way back in the day before Destiny Reset, I did a 10 episode podcast with a buddy of mine here, a good friend of mine that lives near me. And we actually, on our 10th episode, it was a gaming podcast, we got the community manager from Clay Entertainment on it. And that was like a huge thing for us. I mean, this is pre Destiny Reset, like I said. So, learned some things there, and then jumped into Destiny Reset. I love, you guys at this point have probably picked up on this, but I love branding. I love creating content. I love logos, design, all that kind of stuff. And it all just kind of meshes together when you're playing video games and stuff like that, and you try to create content. But Destiny Reset happened. Met Cyborg from a post I put on Reddit. That was history. Obviously some know that story, and that was an amazing experience. And then my kiddos are getting older, they're not, they're 9 and 5, about to be 10 and 6, but it's always been kind of a dream of mine too, to do that with the kiddos, and they play video games, of course. And it's like, I had this idea for a name forever ago. I think if you go look at the endmuser, it's ENDMUSER. If you look at our YouTube channel, I think I registered the channel in 2012. I looked at it the other day. But yeah, so the idea behind it is it's kind of a play on end user and muser, kind of a reflective thinker. I don't even know if that's officially a word in the dictionary, but again, the branding thing, I love it. So yeah, end muser is the brand. I'm kind of doing it. I am doing it with the family, with the kiddos and wife, and it's just a general thing, man. It's not super specific. I know a lot of the things tell you to be specific, and that's how you build an audience. And I'm like, man, it would be really cool if, at least on the Discord side of things, to kind of bring everyone together from all those outlets, from our gaming YouTube, a collecting YouTube that we have and stuff like that we're working on. So anyways, yeah, it's just really kind of a passion for it. And like I said, when you get the kiddos involved, it kind of adds a whole nother layer. All the dads know what I'm talking about. When your kids start playing video games, my son, he just started playing. Well, he's played Destiny, but just since Lightfall dropped, I can see it in his eyes. He's like, Dad, I want to play Destiny. I want to play some more Destiny. My daughter's not quite old enough yet, but she's playing the Roblox and the Fortnite creative and stuff like that. But you know what I'm talking about when you start playing games with your kids and stuff. So
yeah, and tell us about some games you've really enjoyed lately creating content for, or even just playing if you didn't create content for them.
Yeah,
besides Destiny.
Yeah, so Destiny is always a favorite. It's interesting because over the last year, I've taken more, I guess you would call, of a break from Destiny. I played it straight from PS Alpha to when we, stopped doing the podcast, pretty much. There was a few breaks in there towards the end of the podcast, but that's a long time to play a video game. So it was kind of like a little bit of a healthy break here and there. I think maybe one season, I forget which season it was. Maybe I didn't play any of that season, but I usually would dabble in the first part of the season and then kind of taper off at the end. But I don't know what's going on with Lightfall. Like I said, it's always a favorite, and Destiny I always consider a constant game, but I'm like fully hooked again right now with Lightfall. But so I'm just sprinkling stuff in. I love video games. I was playing Wild Hearts. We posted a video the other day on our channel. It was how do you handle your gaming backlog? Because I have games, which this is old school at this point, but I have games on my shelf that still have wrappers on them. Like, I don't know at what point I need to start finishing games. I bought Hogwarts. I bought Wild Hearts. right? That's right. It sounds weird for some reason. And was playing those a little bit. Pokemon on the Switch, So it's kind of one of those things as far as the content goes. We're busy, like you guys are busy, I'm busy, family's busy. So it's like, okay, try to figure out in your daily schedule how you can do all this, have fun, and still be able to kind of create content. So it's one of those, like when we have time, we do the thing and record and try to put some stuff out there. And just like you said at the very beginning with your community, just have fun. Make sure you're having fun doing it. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm looking at your channel here. Lots of cool. How'd you like God of War? I see that in there.
Yeah, another game in the backlog. Yeah, it's fun, man. It's God of War was good. I have the other one. I think I got it. I can't remember when I got the second one. But I have this thing. I said this in one of our videos too. I don't know if you guys are the same. If I go back to a game and it's been very long at all, I want to start it over. Like I want to completely immerse myself. I don't want to have forgotten any details. And I think that's why I don't finish them sometimes, or a lot of times, because I start them over. I don't know if people just jump back in the middle when they go back to a game, but then I'll go back and I'll start a game over because I want to play the sequel. And then I don't even make it through the first game because I'll jump back on Destiny, or I'll jump back on Fortnite or Warzone. I don't know. Your community needs to let me know if this is just a me problem or if everybody experiences this with gaming.
I'm pretty sure it's an everybody problem. So much
Okay.
content to consume at all times. Like you said, with busy schedules and kids and everything, it is hard to keep up.
Yeah. Yeah, and then when you throw creating content in the mix, it's, again, that's something you enjoy, obviously, or you wouldn't do it, but you try to, like, I'm always trying to think about how we can do it inside of our schedule. So not so it doesn't become work, but so that you can do it consistently. You know what I mean? So that it may be that it's a month before another video goes up on our channel, and then all of a sudden we have 5 in 2 weeks. So it's like trying to figure out on a daily basis or a few day basis, like, how you can fit it into your daily schedule. But as long as we're having fun though, right? That's that's the main thing.
I think Sin has a lot of games on his shelf that.
Hey now.
I have a few.
I did finish God of War. I did finish Final Fantasy. I did finish Hogwarts, at least the main story. Now, I didn't 100% them. And that's
what's your percentage in that game?
I don't even know. If I look, it would probably aggravate me because I do like to complete things, especially when I was on the hunt for triumphs in Destiny. Like there was a time where I was like knocking off triumphs in Destiny and just trying to like, everything, and I'm like, I kind of backed off that a little bit recently because there is so much to consume at all times.
Yeah, there's and I think I maybe said this in one of our videos. I feel like we've talked so much over the last few weeks. I feel like we've talked about all this stuff, but I feel like when I was a kid, and again, this is 25 plus years ago, like I would wait for the monthly magazine just to see that. Yes, and I'm aging myself, obviously. It's like just to see the previews that are in Game Informer, and then it's like there would be 1 or 2 games maybe, and maybe it's because we didn't have our own income and like we'd have to ask for stuff for holidays and our birthdays and stuff. But I felt like there was 2 games that you would just consume for the entire year, maybe. Like we played GoldenEye forever. But now it's like, and it was in the fall, like that's when stuff came out just right before Christmas. Now it's like, you got to sit down in January and look at the year and be like, okay, what strategically am I going to pick up? And if you don't do that, then you just do what I do and you end up buying, 30 games in the year and you're like, which one did I finish? But yeah,
you got to make a spreadsheet, right? I know you like to create spreadsheets.
Love the spreadsheets. Yes.
Let's see. What am I allowed to play this next week? What am I allowed to play? Yep.
And all the games are so big, like I remember my cousin and I, dude, we played that snow level in GoldenEye. We thought it looked so real and so cool. We played that like 3rd or 4th level. I don't remember for sure, in GoldenEye, where you had to snipe the dudes in the like all dressed up in their hoodies and stuff right outside of the trailer. We were like, this looks so real. We probably played that 1 level intro like 100 times. Now it's like you said, Sin, there's an endless amount of content to be had on any game of your choosing. So.
Oh yeah. I'm kind of curious. You mentioned with the magazines and as a kid, and you're kind of like excited about games. So I'm going to preface this with a story, and I told this on a different podcast. It might have been even this one. When I was a kid for Christmas time, like young, I remember N64 and getting gifts and games for Christmas. I remember, getting into where the presents were. I would get a gift, and I would open the side of it, and one of them was a game. I don't remember what the game is at this point, but I literally cut the plastic, opened up the side, pulled the N64 game out, replaced it with another one, retaped it back together, put it back in the present pile, and then played it all the way up through Christmas and unwrapped it.
There you go.
I was surprised. Is there a game
man,
you went out of your way to play when you were younger, or any games that you remember, when you were younger, or any kind of fun stories like that?
Oh yeah. So, I mean, some that immediately come to mind. I remember it might have been Mortal Kombat 2 was a big one. And then I remember, do you remember the Jurassic Park game? I think it was on Sega. Oh, that game was so fun. I loved that movie. I used to, that was when I got my first like home theater set in my bedroom. And I would watch that scene on Jurassic Park where the helicopter flies in initially to the island with that music, like over and over again on my new, my home theater system, with 5 little speakers. But anyways, that's moving back to the video game. So when that video game, I remember that one was a big deal. Yeah, I remember the Christmas time too. It's like, all right, what, I still do it to this day though. What am I talking about? I'm like, okay, which video game or two am I going to ask for this Christmas? Because it's always like one video game. And then the other thing you reminded me of is the I don't know how close you guys are to my age. I'm sure we've talked about this before. Wait, didn't we just send you and I just talked about this? We the same age?
Very close. Kingsley's the boomer here.
No,
oh, okay. I think it was you and me, Sin, that were just talking in our Discord the other night, and I'm like, dude, you're the same age as me.
Yep.
But let me ask you this then. And this is still a thing sometimes, but it's getting less and less. And there's two things you're proud as a lot of things with as being a dad. But one is when my kiddos grab the controller from me, and not from me, if they grab the controller and somehow their settings got changed and they're non-inverted, they give me the controller and they're like, something's not right with this controller. So I'm super happy that they both play inverted. The second thing is when we open a video game, if you can still get one physical, or if we have like a book or Pokemon cards or something like that, the smell. Do you remember when you were a kid and you'd open a video game and the full thick color manual was in there and that smell that was in the freshly opened video games? That's just me.
I even remember blowing into NES cartridges too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Boomerson.
Crack me up. Yeah, I've got what do I have over here in our game room? I've got Desert Glory. No, Desert Glory is a SOCOM map. Oh, you knew I wouldn't make it through this podcast without accidentally mentioning SOCOM. Desert Strike. I got Desert Strike, SNES cartridge over here, Zelda, and Super Mario Brothers. Those are just 3 that are on the shelf. But yeah, you definitely have to do that every now and then on NES and SNES. Good times.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like I'm taking us longer off the rails than you guys know.
No, you're good.
There's some things we were kind of mentioning, but it was kind of related to like our communities and stuff. And I saw that recently in your community, and I want to ask you about this too, but you created a map of different locations where, your community, your family can like make reactions. And we may actually put this in our Discord too, but where are you from? What state do you live in, and what do you do to pay the bills? Just to get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah, I live in Missouri, and I'm south of St. Louis, and I'm actually in IT. I work at a bank, but I'm the only person in the IT department at my bank. So,
so what general IT or anything you specialize in?
No, it's really just kind of general. I'm like the go-to IT guy, and then we're partnered with like a networking company that I work with on projects and stuff pretty regularly. So I was originally on the operations side, so I was a banker, quote unquote. But then you know how it is when you work somewhere, they figure out like what you are good at, and then what you enjoy. So it was like only a matter of time before I ended up the IT department.
Oh, that's all. I do that too, but I own my own business. I'm a consultant
Oh,
doing
cool.
IT for companies, basically outsourced IT. But
Okay, you're doing like
That's way
networking
cool.
and stuff for them and such.
all the above. I do a lot of high-end networking, and I'm also a certified Apple consultant. So I do training for IT departments that their guys don't know Apple stuff well, or I'm just outsourced IT for smaller companies
Oh, cool.
that need
That's
a guy.
awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like maybe we talked about that a little bit, but not
We
much. That's
might
awesome.
have, but
Yeah.
okay. So south of St. Louis, kind of like more suburban or rural, or
Yeah, rural. Yeah, I
Oh,
mean it's
nice,
a
nice.
college and hospital town. So it's funny. We have about, I don't know. I think they say we have about 4 or 5 times the population of our city traffic any given day because we're a college hub and a hospital hub. But that's just through traffic from throughout the day. Plus, we're kind of a larger city between South and then between North and St. Louis. So it's a town. You know, it's a what you'd call a comfortable town outside of a big city. You see all those
Yeah.
little, those little 50,000 citizen towns kind of scattered around big cities.
Yep, and Sin somehow always loves his West Virginia.
Now,
Nice.
Mama.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's
Sin, you try to claim like the crazy part where you live in the civilized part.
Correct. I'm in the
Too
part
funny.
that's basically DC and Maryland.
Gotcha. Yeah, and what you originally mentioned, it's funny because we immediately started getting some conversation in our Discord today because I didn't even realize somebody I had been talking to that had been in the Dirt Fam and also now in the endmuser Discord. I'm like, dude, you live in Missouri? Where at? Like, I didn't even realize it. So it's one of those things. You guys are similar. The wheels are just always spinning. I'm like, oh man, it'd be cool and stuff. We learned from the Dirt Fam, and obviously that Discord's still going. And it's like you just figure out, what's kind of neat in a community. And I have moments too where I'm like, dude, just people. It's not that you take it for granted, but with technology and everything, just people talking and interacting, whether it be because they listened to your podcast and they came together, but it's just like it's cool. It's a cool thing. It's really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention, of course, Des lives in Carolina,
Mhm.
and yeah, I just say Carolina.
So,
I know. Why did I know that, but then I didn't want to say North because I have a lot of friends from North, but
I
still,
mean, I was also born in North Carolina, so
that's probably what it was. Yeah.
Fair.
But I
I've
love.
never been to either Carolina still yet.
Oh, yeah, I want to get out there. Yeah.
I'm Southern through and through. I was born in North Carolina, raised and lived most of my life in Alabama, and currently living in South Carolina. I'm Southern.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So I love how, we can just having the map things is really cool because we can kind of just see representation too of where different people live. I mean, a lot of times in our heads, we're kind of like the people we play with a lot, like, oh yeah, I know a lot of my buddies are on the East Coast, Eastern time. And I know some people that are in Central that I play with, and I'm in Mountain, which is probably a little less popular. And then Pacific Western is popular enough, but a lot of times those people don't end up playing with Eastern as much because it's such a big time difference. So they kind of find their own crews to play with, and
Right.
it's just
Yeah, it was always a
just
challenge
fun.
for us. We tried to find in the Dirt Fam. We get messages every now and then from international players, Guardians, and it was they would be like, hey, what about a clan? We threw around the idea of a international clan so that they would be able to play together, and it's a hard thing to balance. Like to try to figure out times, to where people have people on in certain clans and such, because that's a whole nother beast in of itself, maintaining those clans. And it's a good thing, obviously. I don't mean a beast, but trying to just make sure when people get on, they've got people to play with. And naturally, people form relationships, like you said, so they get to know each other and get regulars that they play with. But
Yeah, and that's why Discords are so amazing. That's another thing that I really took from when I first joined. Even though I'd listened to a few podcasts before, they were just tech ones. You guys were the first Destiny one, but then also I think the first Discord group I joined. I'm like, what is this Discord?
we started with GroupMe. Shout
I was
out
about
to
to
Yeah, I don't think
Shout
Des
out
did-
to Slarty. I haven't talked to him in forever, but yeah, we were in GroupMe, and then he's like, "Hey, there's this thing called Discord," because we started to grow. Like, I don't remember how many we had at that point. We're like, dude, this isn't like working too great anymore. There's a lot of people in here. And he's like, there's this thing called Discord. And I'm like, what is that? I never heard of that. It's too funny.
What Des, you knew about the group me? I think I don't know if I knew about that.
I was there on the migration from GroupMe to Discord.
Yeah.
Nice.
If I go in my GroupMe, yep.
Yeah, it was yeah, I mean, I don't think I was there for too long. It was probably about a month, I think, maybe, after I joined. And yeah, GroupMe just we hit the ceiling on it. And,
yeah, it's funny. I don't remember if we were like approaching a max at that time for GroupMe, and we needed to figure something out. But GroupMe is like the go-to for the kiddos sports teams and stuff like that. But when it comes to, however many people you get in your Discord, it's like, okay, like Discord is definitely made for this, obviously.
Yeah.
At this point, for sure, a couple clicks and you can throw a server up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Discord is great because, like you said, there can be pluses and minuses of being in a large group, because then you have to make more Destiny clans because they only allow 100 per. But what I learned quickly, what's more important is not what clan you're in, but the Discord and finding people to play with that way. And it's such a great thing that I just took a lot of those lessons too that I learned from Destiny Reset. If anyone knows too, we don't like calling what a lot of other people would call mods. I loved how you guys started calling them ambassadors. So I took that idea also.
Yeah.
So
that's something
real quick about that
sure.
though for AER0KNIGHT. So his Discord, right, endmuser. I really want him to make his mods pseudo musers.
I love it.
I'm pretty sure I said that one day in his Discord, and I'm like, "Oh, that's excellent branding." I hope he uses it.
That is good. That is good. That's really good. It's so funny you mentioned just names in general, because like I was just telling Joe the other day, even like admin, all the names of it's fine. I've been called an overthinker before in my life a time or two, but it works out in a lot of cases. So like even I was trying to think of what we would call, leadership in the endmuser Discord. And right now what I landed on is team. Like, because mod and stuff like that, it's fine. It's totally fine. But I like it's like the family thing. It's like, okay, they're a team member, or, whereas mod, it's like, oh man, am I going to get banned? Like, oh, it's a mod's here. And I probably overthink it. People don't really care probably, but I think in the long run they notice little things like that.
No, I get it. Even starting my business and stuff, and it was kind of a time period where there's different thoughts that go around and stuff, but it used to be so hip and popular. You always say the clients, but I kind of had this impression. I heard a couple people start saying like, actually, customer can sometimes sound a little more friendly. So I started saying customer, and I asked a few people, and they seemed like they liked that over client. And I'm sure not everyone would. You can overthink it, and different people have different opinions. But yeah, it is a really interesting thing, kind of taking these terms, and also it's kind of fun to just have something that's a little bit different, because then people can remember that. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, there's a happy balance there. Obviously, you guys are doing something right, because people enjoy your community for obvious reasons. But yeah, it's those little things you can obviously you can overthink, but at the same time, I think it's worth it a lot of times, because the little things add up, and people, I think it shows in a community, and kind of just, the vibes go throughout, and kind of works out pretty well.
Very true. Very true. Well, you want to talk a little Destiny? What you've liked and been getting into lately?
Yeah,
down
for sure.
For that?
Yeah, definitely. Yep. I did want to say too, I don't want to forget in this episode, you did kind of ask me a little earlier if it's okay. I was just going to say, as far as Destiny Reset goes, it's been a little while since I've been on a podcast. So anybody that's listening from the Destiny Reset days, just know that Cyborg and I and the team, we love you guys. And we thank you so much for all the support you gave us during the show. We loved the show. We loved doing the show. The only reason we stopped doing the show was because things slowly got busier and busier and busier. And we tried to kind of vocalize it on the show as we kind of would go out a little further than a week between episodes. And that's really it in a nutshell. So it's not that we stopped enjoying doing it or anything like that. So we appreciate all the support we got through 200 and I was going back and listening to a couple today. I think we made it to 228. So maybe one day, who knows? Maybe not. We'll have another tick on there or something. Anyway, sorry to go off on a tangent. I just didn't. I wanted to throw that out there because I'm sure we have Derp fam obviously throughout your community now for the Guardian Hub. So we very much are very appreciative of. We consider Destiny Reset nothing but a success. So it was that and the Derp fam, which obviously
total success. Because again, like if it wasn't a success, then why would we be having such good memories and talking about it and splinter groups that, you know, I'm still in Destiny Reset Discord. I would never leave it unless you shut it down.
Yeah. It's funny. It's gotten quieter. We've made a couple attempts. It's crazy how a podcast will definitely bring in new members. You know, the team is tried to ramp it up a bit more here and there. And it's interesting because I think more people took a break from Destiny 2 at like a couple different periods of time. And you could always tell, and I don't know if you guys can tell it with your Discord, but we would could always tell when an expansion was starting to ramp up and almost come out. But but it just seemed like, I don't know. And it seems like it's come full circle. Like they said with Lightfall, and I'm sure we'll get into it, they had the highest population count with Lightfall. But it seemed like right around that time that we stopped doing the show, I don't know, it just seemed like there was a little bit more of a break lull than there had ever been before. Maybe it's just an observation that I'm not, not seeing fully. But I don't know, it was just interesting kind of how that little period of time panned out.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
For sure.
Was it? I wonder if it was even during. I remember in my opinion, one of the darkest days of Destiny was not even in like D1. Like, you know, there was some breaks around leading up to Rise of Iron and stuff. But Destiny 2, Curse of Osiris times.
Yeah, Curse of
a lot of people left then. I feel like.
Yeah, we made it through all that, all of us.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like it's crazy. We were just talking about this the other day too. Is how Joe and I were talking with somebody in the Discord. Sorry, I know who it is, but I'm not thinking of it at the moment. But Destiny, we were saying you just had, maybe it was amongst us. Shout out. They were asking Destiny 1. They never played Destiny 1, and it was like Destiny 1 was an absolute amazing experience, but you had to play it when Destiny 1 was a thing.
Yeah.
Like, because Destiny 2, all the criticism it gets here and there, it is leaps and bounds better all around. Then as far as the quality of life, daily routine, playing the game, like can you imagine logging into Destiny 1 and being Forever 29 and running to try to get the boots and Crota, but you had to be there though. Like I wouldn't change anything. Destiny 1, I had spreadsheets. I was running 3 raids every week. Like, and then Trials came out every Friday night. Like it was one of those things. And it's like, we said this on the show many times. I've always felt like Destiny, even to this day right now when you're playing, Destiny is one of those games that if it ever isn't a thing you're playing, it's going to be one of those things like I've done with SOCOM. I know it's very likely going to be like, man, do you remember back in the day playing Destiny? The only difference is this game has been around for a long time. Like,
yeah,
I mean, a long time, and they don't seem like they're slowing down. They keep referring to this current story arc we're in as this, this saga or whatever. It's like, man, maybe we won't have that moment where we're like, do you remember? It's going to be like, we're still playing the thing. What are we talking about?
Right.
I know it's wild, yeah, and even just you're right. I mean, seems like Destiny is not going away anytime soon. Even after this last announced thing, so far they've as to hinted and said for sure they're doing more stuff after. We just don't know exactly what or when after or what it's going to be or if plans change. But if you think about it too, like the company Bungie has been around for a long time. Started in the 90s as this small like marathon and.
Yep. Yeah, I've watched some kind of YouTube documentaries on. There's a ton there. Yeah.
So they've been around a long time too.
I feel like I keep derailing you guys. Sorry, you're like, let's say what Destiny news.
No, you're good. I also just wanted to, talking about like the past and Derp it's hilarious. Like the impact that you guys have had because basically, both figuratively and literally, you Aero Knight is pretty much one of the main reasons I even got into podcasting, like, period.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, it's weird because it's always kind of awkward because I'm like, I'm just a dude that plays video games,
Exactly.
and it's like it's really cool, and I'm like super appreciative, and it's awesome that you even say that or think that, but it's so cool, dude. Like this whole community is just so cool. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, but it's that like entire attitude, because that's literally also my quote. I'm just a guy. I'm just a dude. I play video games and I talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
But you showed me that could be a thing,
Right.
I didn't have to put on a personality. I didn't have to be or try and be like super informative or like structured or whatever. I can just be a dude that talks about video games.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can be interesting. And then
that's awesome.
Yeah. When I was starting, I actually reached out in the Derp Discord for a recommendation of a microphone to use for content creation. And you got back to me like so quickly and tagged me and directed me to the Samsung Meteor at the time.
Yeah, dude, $50. I think I still have that on the shelf. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I picked it up and it's like, and I used it for so long, like through my entire first podcast and everything. But yeah, so y'all had like an amazing impact, and that's one of those things that I've just tried to like, I guess, kind of carry on.
Well, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, that means a lot. That means a super ton. I would always too like. I by no means like had DMs flooding, but they would stack up as we did different things in the community, and I would go back and look every now and then, and I would find one that like, oh man, that's right, this person messaged me, and I would, sorry for the delay, and I'm like, because I like to talk to people and get back with them and give them pointers on different stuff just that I've experienced. And anyways, it's really cool to hear that. That means a lot. I remember that mic, dude. Going back to that first podcast my buddy and I did, we were like, dude, we don't have a lot of money, like not to spend on this stuff, on the side. Like we got to find a mic that, audio quality is important. And we went to Best Buy and found that little Meteor mic for like $50. And it worked great. It worked great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Destiny, we are still close to Lightfall coming out, and we're also reaching mid-season, and so it's a good time to also reflect. We haven't had too many guests lately, but I am curious. You can go as short or as deep as you want. What are your overall thoughts of Lightfall? What do you really like about the game right now, and what are you doing?
Yeah, I going in because we picked it up. I was at least 2 or 3 weeks after launch. I was playing Wild Hearts and Hogwarts. Actually, I got Hogwarts, started playing
that's a good game too, yeah.
And here's the thing about that game. I'm not going to go off on a tangent very much here. This is bringing back so many memories. Like, I messaged you guys today, and I'm like, dude, Cyborg and I could hardly ever keep it under 2 hours. I see why now. It's all coming back to me now. I played, so I don't know anything about Harry Potter. My wife does, and she read the books and stuff. And that game is literally my entry point. And I'm like, what better way to have an entry point than a video game? And I started playing it, and I'm like, I'm playing this all the way through. And then I'd already been watching Wild Hearts. We had done a YouTube video on it a while back, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to get Wild Hearts. So I start playing it, and then I'm obviously keeping track of the Lightfall stuff. And I'm like, dude, this looks good. Like, I always have a place for Destiny, obviously, and I've played the seasons here and there, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to get it. And then, of course, my, kiddo, he's like, I think I want to get it too. So jump in. That was a little bit after I got it, but jump in, and I'd already heard some things about the story and watched some reviews and stuff. And I'm not big on, like, getting spoiled. Like, it doesn't really... There's certain things with Destiny, I'm like, I'm just going to watch whatever. I'll experience it too whenever I play the game. So I was expecting the story not to be great. And it definitely was, Bungie style. I got the like, okay, this is a Strand tutorial. But when I played back through it again with my son, I was like, dude, it's classic Destiny. Like, you just gotta listen, read a little bit outside of the game, and it's like the campaign wasn't that bad. Like, I could have done with less of the, keep taking Strand away from me, and when do I get it back again? But I think outside of that, I've enjoyed that aspect of the game. But it's the ritualness of the game, I guess. One thing I'll say about Destiny, even playing it as long as I have, you take a season or two off, and by off I mean like you play the first month or so, and then you come back the next season. I hadn't really done that, like I said, except for the last year, and it's overwhelming sometimes. Even doing that, I can't imagine. We would always talk about on the show like a brand new player, and you try to get a new friend into the game. But even just playing a portion of a season or two, even coming back into Lightfall, being a completionist to a certain degree, I'm like, man, like I want to understand everything. I'll go back and like I'll find my favorite lore podcasters or YouTubers, and I will scroll down on their feed where I stopped watching and watch all the way up to the current expansion, because I just want to consume it all. So it's like when you're going to do that, you're like, man, do I really have the time to jump back in? It's happened with Lightfall. I love I'm getting more into builds and stuff. I love the challenge they've added. Some of it's been there for a while, but just talking about, solo and lost sectors and Grandmasters I've never done. Another thing that I'd never done is a dungeon. I'm looking forward to doing some of those, because when they implemented dungeons, I was like, dude, this is for me, because I can't, necessarily really raid that full period of time anymore a lot of times. So dungeons will be great. But it's really, I don't know, to hone in on one thing, it's just the kind of streamlined ritualness, even though that's been there with Destiny for a long time. I don't know, it just seems like it's in a really good spot right now. I feel like you have to be creative with Destiny 2, though. It's easy to log in. I even find myself doing it sometimes. You log in and you're like, what do I want to do? But as soon as you start thinking about builds, as soon as you start thinking about, looking up a YouTube video and, all right, what do I need to do this? What kind of armor I look for, this kind of thing. And on either side of the game, you go down the rabbit hole pretty quick. And I think it seems like it's in a good spot right now for that, I think. I don't know if I'm off on that, but at least for my play style, it seems to be pretty good.
I get what you're saying. Sin and I were even just talking about this right before the show, before you hopped on, and it's like, okay, what is there to do? There's this, there's that. Especially if you have anywhere slight ADHD personality at all, which I know Sin does. You can get sidetracked very easily, right? Sin, we're like, oh, this, ooh, this, ooh, this. There's like so much, but even for me, like it's the same. And I want to do this fun thing. Oh no, I want to do this fun thing. But then I'm like, well, maybe if I actually stuck around for 3 Nightfalls in a row, that might be better than coming back, or there's just so many things.
Yeah, I am experiencing that. Like, I've been on the power grind since I started playing. I'm like 91 now with the artifact. So there's content I want to do that I can't do yet. So I've focused on one strand build, PvE strand build for my Titan. And there's another Polaris Lance one that I want to do that Aztecross had on his channel the other day. And then at some point, it's inevitable. I jumped in a Rift match the other day just to see if I could start chugging away at that weekly challenge. And I got like 3 ticks on it, I think. I was like, man, this is gonna take forever. I'm not gonna finish this before reset. But I posted a quick clip. I had my beloved out and my last word, and within the first 45 seconds of the match, I got 2 hip fires with my sniper rifle, like I had never stopped playing the game. And I'm like, nice. Oh man, this is bad. Like, yep. I gotta keep myself on the PvE side of the game. Like, I love that side of the game. Like, if I start dabbling into the Crucible, I may not switch back over. So, but and to answer your question,
Beyond.
Oh, dude, if that would be an instant shift over to that side of the game. If the true No Land Beyond came back, one headshot. Oh man, that's so many.
I remember you talking about it. I do.
Oh yeah,
I've been thinking about that for the last 10 minutes. How I was going to sneak in No Land Beyond in there on you.
I appreciate you, because if I wouldn't have mentioned it, I'd been like, dude, I never talked about NLB. NLB shoddy. Oh man, we don't have to go down that road, but there's many clips on the old AER0KNIGHT channel with that bad boy. But I hope I answered your question. I mean, I think right now I'm just doing the power grind thing, and it's just satisfying, man. And then, like I said, I got that element where I'm playing with the kiddo, and it's fun, you know. And I'm hoping what I'd like to do is jump back in with the community even more. And I play at such sporadic times. Like if I'm playing in the evening, I'm usually literally like playing for 5 minutes, jump off and go do something with the kiddos and my wife. And then we might sit back down and play a little bit more before we go to bed. And then if I don't fall asleep, because I guess I'm an old man at this point, like I've always been like this. If I stop moving, I will fall asleep. So I try to stay awake, because then, you know me, I'm a night owl. If I can stay awake, I'll be back on at 11 and play till 1 or 2 in the morning. But my schedule is so sporadic of when I'm going to play that I just end up soloing a lot of stuff. So.
Yeah, fair. But if we ever can make it work out, we can just start small with like some dungeons or something. Because yes, you can solo them, but they're still kind of meant for 3 players, so it's a lot easier. A lot easier if you can get a crew. And
well, I would love to play with anybody. So if we can figure. If I could get back, I've been going to bed early for like the last probably since we stopped doing the podcast. I'm like, I'm not really that old at this point, am I? Like I used to pull 2 and 3 o'clock in the mornings and get up at 6:30 every night, but it doesn't happen much anymore.
It changes. It happens.
My cousin sent me a gift today that I posted in the Discord. There's some that are just so spot on. It said any person over, or something like any gamer over 30. And it was this dude, just like 5 clips. He would start to play, turn on his console, and he'd fall asleep immediately. Like 5. He has like these amazing gaming setups. And as soon as he would grab his controller, he'd fall asleep. And I'm like, that's so true, dude. It's so true.
It's interesting. I never fall asleep if I'm playing with others. I've been in raids where someone has fallen asleep, but that's just not me. But
not
sometimes if I'm doing
like,
have you? I don't even remember. I remember other people,
that's
but
once. I have fallen asleep with the controller in my hand before I started to doze up, but I don't know that I've ever. Maybe I've done it like in a party chat before, but that's the other thing too. I don't take long to wind down. I don't know if you guys do. That was always a classic conversation. Terry, when we'd play trials, he would have to log off an hour before we were done, stay in party chat and just talk to us to wind down. Dude, I would run the most heated trials match ever known to mankind, and then be like, all right guys, I'm gonna head to bed, grab a couple Oreos and jump in bed and be asleep in like 5 minutes.
I'm mostly like that, although a little bit more older. In my older age, I feel like it's not like it's mentally I'm needing to wind down, but it's just sometimes it's just a little harder falling asleep. But I get you, but it's fun to talk sometimes too afterwards. Just we had like this fun raid, and we just want to talk afterwards before. Yeah,
I remember that
before we go to bed. Yeah, and speaking of too, I want to give shout outs. Like that's another thing in Destiny Reset that really kept me addicted to Destiny. For me, I love raiding. I still remember to this day some of the people that are my first raid, and you'll probably recognize this name, Burning Wing.
Oh, good old Bernie.
He took me through my first King's Fall. That was my first raid because I actually started, I'm a Taken Tot. I actually started right after Taken King came out, a couple months after. So that was since everyone was running King's Fall then. But
yeah, very cool.
Yeah. But I still like to raid a lot.
I would ask you guys what you like about Lightfall, but you've covered it on your show for the past several weeks. So,
yeah, I mean, but there's always fun things that are changing all the time, and you know, discussions of things getting easier and things getting harder. And
what power are you guys right now?
Ooh, good question. Sin live update
1815 with the artifact.
Nice.
Yeah, and I am checking
1791 with the
1791. Nice.
I'm getting there.
Well, you can do most things in the game still at that level, and I'm 1809 base, 1823 with the artifact.
Wow, that's nice. Very nice.
Yep.
Well, there was plenty to cover this week, so I'm gonna do my best to not get you guys off on a tangent because I know your show didn't go as long as ours used to. Well, I'm sure it does sometimes. For example, this week we got that. I looked through it a couple times. I end up finding a YouTuber just to read it to me sometimes. But we got that surprise
bedtime story put you to bed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was this week, right? We got the surprise blog post. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I was kind of getting. And however much we can go through this TLDR, because it's kind of long-ish.
It is
but
long. Yeah.
I don't know if Des has any points he wants to talk about. And then, of course, you can give any comments. I can bring up points too if whoever, we want to, however we want to go, gentlemen. What do we think? What do we want to talk about in it?
I'm gonna let you TLDR this because I have not given it an entire and proper read through.
That is okay. Yeah. Well, let's just start with a discussion of. This is a good question too, because this is new to all of us. But how have you, Aero, thought about Guardian ranks and accommodations? Have you done much with them? Do you have an opinion? How do you think they are right now?
Yeah, I was actually talking in our Discord today, just wrapping my head around Guardian ranks a bit more. Like, it's not to, criticize it too much, because I think overall it's cool. But a couple of things about it is, it's convoluted in a way because it's classic Destiny Bungie style. Like Destiny's such a massive thing with so many things going on. Like, to implement a system like that, I just can't imagine how challenging it is. But for me, you don't know until you start diving into it and looking at what you got to do to get what and why I started at 6 and this or that. And it's like, you want the meaning to be there with it. And, you see somebody with, 9 and it's like, oh, okay, I get it. You got to dive into it a little bit to figure that out. I guess there's multiple things it's trying to accomplish. For me, in the blog post they did this week, I had to go back and forth with Joe today to kind of understand how it's going to work with these changes. I think ultimately it's better because what is this? They're basically making it to where when you level up and you move into the next season, everyone else will see the rank you achieved in the prior season, correct? Is that right?
Yeah, that is such an excellent change because I get what they were first going with, where our Guardian rank would reset each season. They're kind of doing a combo of this going forward.
They are.
But I get where they're going with the total reset, but I think we all figured out pretty quickly, including Bungie, that to get ranks up to like 8, 9, let alone 10 and 11, that's too much work to be resetting every single season.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you want that weight to be there with it. Like, if I see somebody that's 10, even me, especially now, it's like, oh, wow, okay, I get it. I see you, that kind of thing. But yeah, I can, like, the reset every season. It's like, wow, I got to do this every season. But it still can, the way Joe and I were talking with their changes, like, you still can go back down in rank, right? Like, if you don't continue to do.
Yeah, it's kind of like a one carryover, I think, from how I understand it. And then you can kind of quickly fill in the things for the new season to keep you at that and then go forward.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to do nothing, then you would go back. And then also it looks like where we were all starting on 6, like if you hadn't done anything and you're not a new Guardian, we were all starting at 6. Right. Well, they're going to actually have everyone starting at 5 now. And between 5 and 7 is more like a true middle range where you got to do some things, but it's not too sweaty, where we were noticing even 6 to 7 was starting to get pretty sweaty with the things you had to do.
Right. Yeah. And then I guess what I was hinting at earlier too was we're talking about one aspect of, I guess, what it's trying to achieve. The other aspect, right, is for somebody that's brand new coming into the game. It's supposed to guide them with, at least to some degree, what they need to do, or kind of a roadmap there. But it's such a hard. I can't imagine how hard it is to accomplish that, and then also accomplish, like, you want it to have weight to it and really mean something when you see somebody at those higher ranks. I don't know. It's one of those things. Overall, it's a good system. It's just like you can see that they're going to probably have to tweak it more and more as we go through.
Well, and I'm impressed with even how much they are quickly telling us how much they're going to tweak it and what they've been listening to on the community. I mean, we all know Bungie does listen to the community, and they play the game also, and this and that. And I just find it quite amazing. We got this blog article this quickly and telling how many good changes they're making. So pretty much great. Accommodations too, kind of was relating too much to Guardian ranks, and already we saw they brought that way down. You really don't need accommodations as much for Guardian ranks. And And
I still haven't fully wrapped my head around commendations. Like I know that one of the thing is like I'm like rushing. Okay, who has it? You know what do I do? Who do I want to get what? But at the same time, I don't know. I don't even know what that. I still haven't figured out myself or like researched. What does the colorful bar mean? Like what am I trying to?
Oh, we'll see. It's silly. That's the thing. Like you're right. First, everyone just rushes at the end, and 80% of the time, I don't pay attention to who I'm giving what, because you want to give something just because you're helping, because everyone needs to receive some and give some to rank up. Yep. So everyone just rushes at the end, and I just go down the line, right?
Yeah, the Guardian on the right, I give the right card. The Guardian on the left,
yeah,
like, just real quick.
It's sad. It's sad. It's like, so they're going to be changing some things with that too. I forget where that section was. That section I actually skimmed over a little bit myself, but.
Yeah, they mentioned it a little bit in the ranking up, but I haven't fully wrapped my head around that.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
it's kind of the color bars just really means what type you're getting, right? It's like I think orange. I don't even know which one's which, but like orange may represent the thoughtful one. So you can kind of like if you remember which color is what, you can see like, oh, I've received a lot more thoughtfuls than this or that. But
now, don't get me wrong.
4 categories, by the way. There's ally, fun, mastery, and leadership. Green is ally. The pink one's fun. Mastery is the orangish, and leadership is the blue.
Okay.
And
that's what I was gonna say. Like, go ahead, Sin.
I was gonna say that's how they have them grouping, but there's like multiple cards inside of each.
Well, how come I still only have 2 cards? Because I'm a noob.
That depends on the activity. No, it's because you'll only get 6 cards, like if you're doing a raid or something.
Do you? So is it per fire team total or something? Is that what most things?
And the activity. So like 3-player activities only have choices of like 2 different cards you can give out.
I just thought of something. Like if they put some sort of card collecting in there, like that'd be pretty. Yeah, that'd be cool. But
like you have like one or I think that's kind of what they're hinting at. That's what I'm hoping to make it more meaningful. So like let's say you have a rare like this person is a master Sherpa for trials or raid or whatever, and you can only give out 2 of those or 3 of those per season. And so when you get one of those, that would be like, yes, I got one.
And if I remember right, I was listening to Tassie's video on this. I don't think he was just making it up. There's like a fashion one possibly that everybody wanted. Like they wanted I forget what the name of the card was. It's in here somewhere. I'm almost certain. What I was going to say a minute ago, though, was everything we talked about earlier on. This is right up our alley. Like this is like a community kind of thing. This is putting some almost caring thoughtfulness behind activities, but it's just they got to figure out how they need to do it.
Yeah, they are adding that best dressed one. Yeah, you're right. I'm reading that in the comments here. I mean, yeah, best dressed. I think they're, I have some hope for that. I mean, I'm way more excited with all the changes they're doing on the Guardian ranks, but it sounds like accommodations they're seriously looking at also, and that's nothing but a plus. So.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah. Oh, difficulty adjustments. So we talked a little bit last week because the update came out before our last podcast, but some in the community have been perplexed on difficulty adjustments and how, they said they're making the game harder this season, but then it seems like they were dialing back, which I was trying to tell everyone they didn't dial it back that much, right? Sin, even when we went in Legend Avalon, it doesn't really feel any easier.
To say the least.
Yeah. So don't worry, people that like a challenge. It's not like they made it baby mode. It's still pretty challenging.
Can confirm.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just said can confirm. But you were talking about the card like AER0KNIGHT. It made me think of like if Destiny put in something like a Marvel Snap or a Gwent.
Dude, yeah. I've learned to like stuff like that the older I've gotten. I don't know why, but I love that in The Witcher. That game's in the backlog too, but I played it enough to enjoy those aspects. But yeah, if they incorporated, just even a little hint of that, which Kingsley, like you said, it sounds like in a way they are, but that's a whole nother little facet to the game.
Yeah. Yep. We don't have to talk too much about the changes because we talked about it last week with the difficulty. However, one thing that's interesting that they added on is about the Nightfall discussions. And everyone was agreeing, yeah, the heist battleground Mars, when that was around, the first week or whatever, that one was so freaking hard, even on Hero and Legend. They're like, no way anyone's going to get it done on Grandmaster. And Bungie even admitted to that those ones are pretty crazy. So they're, with the mid-season patch, they are changing heist battleground Mars and other heist battleground changes so that they will not be as difficult in the rotation as their Nightfall version. So that's good news. I think I was watching your stream, Aero, where you were even kind of asking the question. It's a good question because not everyone may realize, one way how they've kind of gotten around not creating as many new strikes is they have been creating seasonal activities, battlegrounds that are 3-player activities that are basically like a strike. They're just not calling it a strike. And then they'll eventually, when the season's gone, they'll add it into the strike and Nightfall playlist.
Yeah.
So I think it's smart.
I enjoy the battlegrounds. Yeah, it's all that structure is really cool.
Oh yeah. So have you noticed at all? I think I did a little bit when I was first going through the campaign, but as a player who hasn't leveled up all the way, Neomuna Patrol, have you ever been in crazy parts? You're like, dude, this is Patrol. I'm getting one shot.
Yeah, I was just where was that? I was just listening to something about that. They wanted that patrol to be, more difficult, like you're saying. But I guess is part of that where they decided to dial that back a bit?
Yeah, a little bit. Part of it is the activities with the terminal overload and just trying to match that more with. I liked the idea with having it live. You could just walk over and do it, because they were trying to do for that. It was a combo live public event, even though it's not a normal public event, but you could also matchmake into it if you were needing to do it. But the problem is it's a harder thing that you don't want to just be patrolling and then be bothered by that. It's better just to matchmake into it.
When I've matchmade into it before, nobody's around, and then I've matchmade and there's a full, team.
Yeah. Have you done that one exotic public event, though, the Vex Strike Force? Have you heard about that one? It only comes around about once. Remember back in the day in Destiny 1, we would use the apps that would tell us when public events were coming around, and they had those. They had the taken
roaming
ones.
Mars for days.
Yep, or on the Cosmodrome, they had those taken ones that were pretty rare that you had to do, and you had to find out when they were coming around.
Yep, we could do a whole show on the old stuff we used to do. That made me immediately think about watching YouTube videos for the path to farm materials, mats. You just run around and jump and over and grab this one, and okay, this one respawned.
Yeah. But the Vex Strike Force public event, I love that because
if I've done that, it's been on accident. I'm not sure.
Okay, it's the one. So it's on the bottom of the map, and it will say most public event. So you can see on the map when it's coming to, because most will just say public event, but this one will specifically say Vex Strike Force public event, so it's coming, and they have a long timer for it. And this public event, think of like a mini, there's not mechanics you have to do, but it's like a mini raid encounter. You need at least 6 people there. And what they do is they drop down basically 6 Atheon level bosses all around the whole zone, not just in one area. And if you don't have tons of people there, you're not taking them down. And it has a 15 or 20-minute timer. When I first hopped in, I'm like, why is this timer so long for a public event? Well, I quickly learned why.
Figured it out.
You need the time to take it down. So,
yeah, see, I like stuff like that. Oh, wow.
An exotic. So that's why I like this. And so they said they've gone a lot. This is an amazing, it's like a world boss for Diablo or other games. Bungie should have been doing this more often already. And the fact that it can drop an exotic, and kind of leading to the other part of the discussion, they're going to be deprecating a little bit, getting the new exotics from Lost Sectors, Legend Lost Sectors, and adding them into this Vex Strike Force event, which I think is way better an idea.
It is much better.
Yeah. So, I like you. Yeah, you get those little tidbits when you're playing. You're like, okay, I know the game's been around for a long time, but there's even little things that they're slowly figuring even more of this out. Those exotic farming and stuff like that, even with the Lost Sectors, stuff like that's such a good addition to the game.
Oh yeah, those are too. And I get there may be some people that would prefer, farming the lost sector, especially if you're more of a solo player, because then you don't have to rely on people being around for the public event.
Right.
But I think they're going with there's gonna be people there no matter what.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like any facet that they can do something like that, it's just kind of like especially this one that you're talking about, because it's more populated kind of community kind of thing, if you will. Sure, you might not get it very often, or you gotta get some people to join up and do it, whether it's naturally or in a fire team or whatever. But that stuff's just cool when they add those aspects to the game, I guess. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Okay, so I made a mistake. They're not deprecating it from the Legend of Lost Sectors. What they're doing twofold. They are increasing the drop rates in there because people have been complaining about that, but they're also really focusing on adding it to the Vex Strike Force. So I guess we will have both ways to do that. So sorry about the misinformation, but that's actually excellent news. So you can have it both ways.
Yeah, I was just like I was either listening to you guys or a YouTube video, but they were talking about what you just said. I think there's getting to be too many exotics to try and farm lost sectors, I guess, is some of the feedback right now. I don't know if this plays into that a little bit, but
this is exactly. Yep.
Okay.
What do you think? I mean, have you been hoping for anything specific, or are you still kind of like, just give me whatever?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not even at that point. So
gotcha,
when I get there, I'm good with anything. However, there are some legs. I don't even know that I've seen the name of them. They were in the Polaris Lance build that I know I'm going to need. But maybe when I get to that point and there's a bunch of different things that can drop, I'm going to be like, okay, yep, totally get it.
I know which ones they are.
And that's what
the ones that enhance solar damage.
Yeah, I don't know the name of them. They look cool.
I just got them today doing the lost sectors for the Guardian ranks. They are called the Path of Burning Steps. Solar final blows improve weapon damage. You are harder to slow and freeze with stasis.
Nice. See, because right now I'm running a shotgun SMG heavy machine gun strand build, just like up in your face. So I'm like, dude, the Polaris Lance build will be an excellent kind of alternate for that. Again, Lance is in the name of the weapon, so that's always fun. So so that kind of like will be two different play styles for PvE, and then at some point it's a no question with the last word and sniper on the PvP side. But I will at some point probably be trying to farm those, and I'll send you guys a message maybe if I remember and be like, yep, totally get it now. Can't seem to get these legs.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing too, with some of these changes that are coming, the exotics are going to be coming back more to a checkoff list. So if you don't have the new one, you will get that. So that's kind of cool news there too.
Very cool. The ones from the event that they're adding are just going to be a generic knockoff list, and if you don't have anything new, then you'll get random rolls from the entire pool.
Yeah, and I hope too that they can increase. I don't think they said this in the article. I don't know if anyone read this, but someone was, and I know it wasn't a huge sample size, but they still got a whole clan together to do smaller sample size, and they were seeing on average in the lost sectors, people only getting about a 62 drop. I wish they could increase that a little bit more, or for this event also. If we can get the average closer to 65, and then I totally understand you get a bunch of 60, 62s, but then every once in a while you'll get a 65, 66, 67 or higher, and then it'd be well worth, you know what I mean, those rare cases to it's right now it's really hard to get a rare case high drop,
Well, and for me too right now, like I've got Syntheseps in my strand build and they're not great, but I've asked the question a few times in our Discords. I'm like, how do I get better Syntheseps? Like, what do I need to do to farm? You know what I mean? Like, is there something I'm completely missing? Like, if I want better Syntheseps for my build?
Well, right now the Vex Strike Force event does give you a guaranteed exotic, so you won't necessarily get that one, but if you do, you never know.
Yeah, because if you're buying dupes and stuff from Xur, like they're not. I mean, are exotics, and then this is kind of me being a bit noobish at this point. Like, are they by default a higher stat, or can you still get them low when you get them? outside of farming.
They're higher, but you can still get them low
Yeah.
compared to what you would want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exotic.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Exotics do have a higher stat ceiling, I believe, if I remember right. They do have extra.
Yeah, I've got
in
high mobility
versus.
ones right now, which at some point maybe I used them in PvP for the melee buff, but they're high mobility and they're low overall stat, you know. So like I'm trying to see if I can at some point get to like that double 100 build, and I'm like setting at 76 or 78 on resilience and discipline, you know. So it's like the syntheseps I need to be swapped out.
Yeah, I mean, if you get more into the legend activities, like the legend battlegrounds, the legend, the dungeons, and even eventually raiding, then at least for the regular armor, you have chances to get
even higher for
drops
those to maybe make up for it a bit.
Yeah. It just takes time. I mean, I feel like I've been noticing myself. I have a bunch of high armor stuff in my vault and on my inventory that I cycle around from depending on builds, but I haven't really been getting too much lately, and I don't know if I just got luckier before or something's changed. And I do feel like there's kind of like this thought that getting high stat rolls is a little bit less often these days. Mm-hmm. So
I've banked like 28 engrams for the war table, because that's a pretty efficient way to get legendary high stat armor, right?
It can be. There's some that were even better than others. But I am curious, what if you've done enough? What are you kind of noticing? Like average numbers? Did you pay attention to that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I've only banked. I still have 28 of them because I'm waiting to even get a little bit higher power. But I did do like the set I have, or at least the 4 pieces I have now, and I mean it was like 62 to 64 or 5 maybe.
Okay,
but most of them were on the lower side of that. I mean, it's again though, at least it's something you can go.
That's not bad though.
Well, and I wasn't aware again. Showing my noobness a little bit, getting back into it. I wasn't aware of the ghost mod. Yeah, so I don't even know if I had that on. Yeah, so it could have been boosted a little bit more possibly.
No worries. Yeah, and that is a good tip. And just reminder everyone, generally, in most cases, you just want to put a discipline ghost mod on because it can help you have a better chance. You usually get 2 spikes, one on the lower 3, one on the upper 3. So if your lower spike's going to be discipline, then your upper spike, the thing is of the upper 3, there's usually 2 that people want, resilience and recovery. So chances are it'll be one of those more than the third one. So
yeah.
Yep.
Very cool.
Awesome. So you said you've been doing some build crafting. They have some cool things with this because they've heard that people want to make changing builds a little bit easier, and they talk about some new mods that are coming out soon. I really like
so good.
They do, yeah. Should we go through these real quick because they do look good? We have.
Yes, I mean basically, there's 2 new mods that are definitely coming for the next season. It's season 21. And this is what 19.
This is 20.
20,
yeah.
I think.
Okay, cool. So 21. 2 new mods coming out just for in general. One new mod is called Powerful Attraction, which is going to be super cool because when using your class ability, you will collect all orbs of power within a radius determined by the number of copies of the mob you have equipped.
Nice.
I mean, that's kind of been like a pipeline dream, I think, in Destiny for years. Is just, getting orbs of power to come to you, essentially. They also do comment on the fact that rather than having like a mod literally to have orbs of power track to you just constantly, they are afraid of memory and latency issues for having to do that for multiple guardians within an instant in real time. So yeah, that's an issue. And also one thing that is happening is elemental charges, where the elemental items that some of the subclasses drop, fire sprites, ionic traces, stasis shards, voids, breaches, whatever for stasis or strand, Jesus. Collecting enough of them will grant you an armor charge to give you basically an alternative way of getting an armor charge. So yeah, then they are tuning these things very specifically, kind of on a per collectible basis, depending upon like the frequency that they're capable of dropping. So
Sure feels like we're getting more powerful next season.
right, and also shoot to loot. They will be modifying to be able to pick up orbs of power when you shoot them.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's yeah, and of course they do remind us also of the new aspects that are coming in Strand for season 21. So yeah,
Yeah, which we talked about a little bit, but yeah.
You have those moments in Destiny. I was having one of them tonight, running through a strike with my kiddo. It's like, especially when you're running like some base level content, even me not being super high powered at this point, when you're just melting stuff in Destiny, you're like, yeah, this is what this game's about. It's
Yeah.
like I know the challenge is fun too if you're going to do a grandmaster or whatever, but like when you're just super mode, just melting stuff with your build and then just blasting through everything, you're like, and I'll tell you, dude, the Strand, I finally realized the other day when we were playing, we were like, this is like being Spider-Man. Like we loved the Spider-Man season of Fortnite. Like when you whip around, I can't wait to get into the Crucible with it. When you whip around and bring yourself back in from off the map and you melee and just, it's like when you feel powerful in Destiny, that's when it's at its peak.
Yep. It is, and it's hard because they don't want power creep, but at the same time, it is fun when we get these boosts. Like I'm really looking forward to the mid-season patch where everyone is. We're getting the auto rifle buff. I mean, we talked about this probably last week
Love
more, but
rifles.
Yep, and all the other weapons too with that we're getting buffs on. Pulse too will be good. Real quick, the the artifact with build crafting, they're doing some really good news things there, and then one concerning thing to me, but we're gonna be able to refund and change different perks with a single click, so we don't have to reset it all the way and then rebuild it up. That's amazing. That's no big deal. But the thing that I'm a little sad about is one of the biggest requests everyone has is in these builds being able to have certain artifact builds along with our actual builds. And I'm sure it's a technical issue that we're having a hard time working through, but since they didn't mention that anywhere here, it looks like we're still going to have to, I mean, it'll be less work now. We don't have to reset the whole thing, but we're still going to have to really keep an eye. I've been getting better at this. Like when we're changing our builds or our armor, I'm like, okay, this artifact mod, even though they're all passive, works better with this build, so I got to remember to change it out. I can't include it in the build.
Yeah. Even a smaller accident, like I've done a couple times, and it's probably more so because I was leveling, but I would accidentally switch my loadout and forget that I put mods on some stuff, and then I'll look a little while later and I'm like, dude, I have mods on my weapons. Like, what am I doing?
Yep. So. Yep. Also good news. We kind of knew this, but for now, we just have our big power grind at the beginning of the quote Destiny year. So Lightfall. So next season, because we don't need to level up anymore, there's not a plus 10 for all of us. There's really good news. So the people that are still working on stuff, they don't have to worry about another plus 10. But for all of us, we can get into things quicker, like Trials and Grandmaster Nightfalls.
Yeah. I think that's a really good decision coming from, because like they say, that they can essentially start Trials week 1, week 2 of the new season and still have a reasonable possibility for an even playing field for everyone.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because I feel like back in the day we would have been like, oh man, like power grinding is just part of the routine. But then on the flip side of that, everybody's usually like, man, I got to do this again. So ultimately, I agree. Like I think this is like Destiny after the main drop of DLC or the main expansion for the year. It makes sense that your focus beyond that be about running activities as efficiently and thinking about builds and jumping in the highest content, highest difficulty content versus power grind again.
Yeah.
I think it's, really good. It's exactly like both you said. And I'm looking forward to it too. And I had said all along too, like I didn't understand the point of the +10 each season. Either do more or do none, and they went with the none. So I like that decision. We just have the big grind with the DLC, and then nothing afterwards for a bit.
Exactly, and that's pretty much how D1 ran. For you get the expansion. Of course, back then everything was an expansion, but you get the expansion drop, you hit that power, and then everything becomes just ritual. And I feel, especially now, that with seasons the way they are, I mean, sometimes the power grind kind of like outstretches the seasonal grind, but I mean, just too much grind at any point in time just can lead to more potential burnout. So just the capability of being able to stop just a bit of extra grind can basically really help people's longevity with Destiny rather than Destiny's longevity with people. But yeah.
Okay, this is an interesting one, and we have a comment which I'll read here in a second too. But the exotic armor focusing, I think this will be good for newer players, but I think for a lot of, well, plus and minus, because then also newer players won't have the mats to do this. But let's get into this real quick. I still think it's a cool idea. See, here's the thing. Just because there's expensive stuff at the store doesn't mean you should or need to buy it. Well, this will be one of these examples of expensive stuff at the store. So we will have two options coming up in season 21 with exotic armor focusing. We have focused decoding. Let's see the actual name. And, well, focused decoding is the name with either advanced decryption or precision decryption. And what are those, may you ask, Sin? What are those?
What are those?
Sin's muted.
Did you say
or
pretzels?
Something? Sure.
I was eating pretzels.
Just making sure you're still awake.
I am. I was staring at the picture about the focus decoding.
Yeah, it's all these pretty pictures of yellow engrams, right? So this first one is interesting. Advanced decryption is kind of one of these things like, well, you know what classification you're going to get, but you don't know other than that. So you can like narrow it down to like, I want a Shadowkeep exotic or I want a Beyond Light exotic. And, you know, you can go in and see what all the options are that you'll get from, but you don't know what you'll get. Well, what might that cost to decrypt an exotic? It costs, of course, 1 exotic engram that you will get. They don't just auto-decrypt. 30,000 Glimmer. I mean, now that we're at 250, that's not too bad. And you can get Glimmer very easily these days. And we've talked about that the last few shows and public events, blah, blah, blah. But it does cost 1 Ascendant Shard. So is it worth it? I don't know if it's worth it, especially. Yeah, one Ascendant Shard for this one.
Well, I feel like if you're at the point, I feel like potentially if you're at the point of, well, I'm missing this exotic from blank era.
Well, yes. Then
I do feel like you can at least reasonably, maybe not complete activities for the chance of a shard, but at least be able to build up to an exotic shard, potentially, like through the conversions.
This is so odd because, okay, I'm kind of swimming in shards right now, but I have all the exotics also. So, like, this would have to be someone that doesn't have all the exotics, but has enough shards that they don't feel bad using one.
Exactly. You know? Which that's this is interesting. Well,
yeah. Do you want to read the next part?
Well, the next part makes a little less sense to me. Actually,
I mean, it does and it doesn't. It's at least you get what you want.
Exactly. But yes, the next step of decoding, you can literally pick the exact exotic that you're going to get. But of course, that cost is 1 exotic engram, 60k Glimmer, which I feel is a fair step up Glimmer-wise for that cost. 3 Ascendant Shards. And 1 exotic Cipher.
Jeez. Have we ever had anything so expensive in the game? Well, I guess the in D1 again, we keep going back, but you know what I mean? But
not just D1, the Memorial. Memorial, I believe, that took exotic ciphers. Brad.
Aero, I'm sure you're swimming in the Senate shards right now, right?
No. Everything, well, Glimmer is never an issue for me, like you said. That seems to just continuously flow. But yeah, the Ascendant shards, I can't even masterwork my current syntheseps right now. Now this is an answer to my how do I get better syntheseps, but not that I can afford them.
They would, for me to even be slightly interested, even with me swimming in shards, I would want a guarantee of a certain roll power, like 67 guarantee or something like that, and this and that, and then I'll consider it. But like,
did they not say anywhere in here that it's high stat?
Let's see.
I guess.
Well, I don't think that. Well, this isn't for the. I don't believe this is for the purpose of.
No, not in their mind.
Grinding. Right? This is for the purpose, literally, of collection.
Collection. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking just by default, I was thinking you already have to have this to be able to do this, but it's not that. Yeah. That's what you're saying. It's to collect the exotics.
I think so, because again, they want the roll grinding to be either from lost sectors or
that makes sense.
The Vex Strike. Something.
Yeah, because otherwise, this would almost be the equivalent of the D1 days when you just spend mats to get certain rolls until you got the roll you wanted. Yeah.
Exactly.
But no one has that many.
It's a little different. This is very expensive. But
I still feel I do feel like they could have priced it better material wise. Like instead of an exotic shard or an Ascendant shard, perhaps like an exotic cipher. Because those, as I remember, my brain miraculously working one at a good time, you can get a quest off of Xur to get an exotic cipher.
Oh yeah, yep.
So, I mean, that's a grindable thing. I mean, they're kind of rough, or at least they were. But I mean, it's a grindable thing. So I feel that would make more sense than an Ascendant shard, and then just maybe require more engrams instead of shards for precise. I feel like that could be better and friendlier for the people that would need this. I feel
this isn't a horrible idea, but they just need to fine tune it some. And also, like we've said this before, like we haven't really been saying like Ascendant shards they should be making easier for people to get. But come on, they need to raise the cap 10 now, because if you're going to be storing these up and then spending 3 at a time, 10 is a very small cap for Ascendant shards.
It is when you're using your
Sin agrees, yay.
Right.
Using the Postmaster as actual storage space for him, it is a problem, because I don't really use them for anything. You have one set of armor really that I upgrade all the time, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, shout out to a comment in the chat. We have Joe Meaden says, Peanut Galley comment. Yeah, hello. On exotic changes coming. I'm not sure if it's a system I'll engage with. I'm not swimming with mats, and I'm still working on progressing. I just hit 1810 on my first character today, and I'm starting character 2 from 1600, so I'm not sure I'm the type of player that benefits from the changes to exotic acquisition. Thanks for the comment. I mean, yeah, it's... Anything else you wanted to say about that, Aero? I mean, it's kind of interesting.
I'm kind of not. This is something that I'm not having to think about too much, at least at this point. But yeah. He's always got good points. I've already shouted him out a few times, but he's, even though he didn't think so at this point, he's almost at some degree, even to this day, even after Kiddos, he's still kind of like the ideal Destiny player I feel like Bungie looks at.
Well, hopefully then they will take our feedback. I'm sure Bungie's, and they're not listening to our podcast, but hopefully they are.
Never know.
No, engram focusing. I was entirely wrong on the decoding. No, this is not a collector thing. This is
you still have to 100%. Earn it?
Yeah, because you can't get new exotics from this focus decoding.
That's what I thought at first, but I just read it really quickly, and then when you said the thing, I'm like, that's good-ish news, but
that's what it sounds like. But
they need to make a guarantee high stat roll or something to make this worth it.
Yeah, like this pricing fits that model better. But like you said, they do kind of need to. They need to make it a little worth your while. Because that's still, like, whether you're swimming in them or not, I mean, that's a lot of mats just to toss into it. I mean, it's essentially a freaking slot machine at that point in time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, again, there may be some people that's why we have these podcasts for newer players. Just because it's there doesn't mean you should spend all your materials on this. Do a little research, listen to the podcast, see if it's worth it. Don't just spend all your money just because it's something to do.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, it's still a cool idea. Pricing doesn't need to change then, but like you said, there still needs to be a little, at least an assurance in there.
Yeah. But hey, it's something. I like the screen. I like the general idea. I just don't know if many people will be using this or should be using this. We will see.
I mean, to be fair, if you do have the materials to burn and you are looking for a very specific stat roll, then why not?
Well, I'm hoping we'll hear, when people test this in the wild. Yeah, I'm hoping to hear it's good stat rolls.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I'm also not saying it needs to be like great, because, I mean, at the same time, you do kind of need that somewhat randomness. You still need to, you can't make the stick too short for the carrot.
Yeah.
You can't reach it too easy. There needs to be a little bit of something there. A little bit of risk.
One of 5 million things they have to try and balance.
Exactly.
With all the different types of players of the game.
Exactly.
It's not a problem.
That's like when they mentioned. Well, that's like when they mentioned adjusting or increasing the lost sector exotic drops. It's like they don't want to do it too much, because if they do it too much, it's raining exotics. But if they do it too little, you're not going to feel. It's
almost like when you log in, they need to ask you like 3 different tiers. All right, what type of player are you? That's the build we're gonna. That's the build we're gonna load. The build of the game.
That is
exactly
a hilarious idea that I almost kind of like. Although, if the players play together, how easy will that be to kind of separate things? But who knows?
It's almost like Minecraft and loading into creative instead of survival.
There you go.
Well, on this exact topic, one of the last things they emphasized to us, which we've seen, but it really seems like they're going this way with. They've done this with the dungeons for a while, and now with the newest raid, the Root of Nightmares, they have a system where it's not full just one set RNG anymore. You can get increased RNG chances by running triumphs, completing certain things. And the raid even had that this time, where people are getting these triumphs completed, and then they get a increased chance. Of course, they don't want to tell us what that means, but we'll take their word for it. And then we're getting increased chances on getting the exotics. So that's pretty cool. I think no one's upset about that, because you actually have to do some work. It's not like the triumphs are just mindless.
Well, yeah, and one word that they keep throwing around in these things is deterministic. So, I mean, it's still random, but you do have a path to make random more favorable for you. But there's a workable path to make random work for you, just in case random doesn't work for you.
And here's a fun example. Shout out to a previous guest on the show and a streamer that we like, Lock and Load Live. I saw that she just barely got the raid exotic today after 22 runs, and I'm pretty sure she would have been doing all or most of those triumphs pretty quickly, being a high-end streamer that raids a lot. And even with doing all of that, it took her 22 runs to get the exotic. So you can still have a low chance, but I'm taking Bungie's word for it that it's an increased chance. So
fingers crossed, because I don't need another 60 runs up in me on that one.
You know that I got it, right? Exotic,
you
or did I ever?
You did mention it. I cast it out of my mind as soon as you got it.
I like that very faint and reluctant defeat in his voice whenever he's like, yeah, you mentioned it.
Well, that's pretty much the news of the week, unless there's anything else on your mind, Sin, Des, or Aero. Otherwise, we can start talking about just some fun extra credit stuff at the end.
No, that's, I mean, other than the, little tidbits in the TWAB, they...
yeah, you know what? Sorry, I probably should pull up the TWAB too, because I feel like the TWAB was mostly a recap, but
it was yeah,
it's mostly a recap. Yeah. The only big news out of the TWAB is the fact that the Grandmasters are coming, so the Conqueror title will start being available. Oh, which one thing they do mention is, I think we skipped over it a little bit. Even though like difficulty stuff will be coming sooner since we don't have power grind, they are not intending to make the Conqueror title available any sooner than what it is now. So they're still looking at like week 7. So there's that info.
They did say too, I thought it was interesting. It's cool, the cutscenes. They're adding they're adding all the cutscenes to the YouTube channel as the archive, which is really cool. They say they're going to add, I think they said like a couple, or was it a few every couple months or something? I did find it interesting. They said, where is this? Can I share my recordings on YouTube? We ask that you leave the cutscenes up to us. We totally understand and allow clips to be used during your video creation for movie of the week or other content creation needs, but full cutscenes will need to remain on our channel. I feel like I watch full cutscenes all the time.
Well, you could, but also at the same time, like, that has that kind of, because there's a YouTube channel I watch that helps me keep up with things called the Destiny Lore Vault. And,
I've got I watch that.
Yeah. Of course, I think they shy away from a lot of pure cutscenes, but a lot of what they do is just basically record the existence of dialogue.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, this is really cool. Like to be able to just go to Bungie's page and watch this stuff. It was just an interesting layer, I thought, that they got pretty specific on that.
It makes sense. It's Bungie's always been really good with the community.
Yes,
very lenient.
100%.
As you know, we can play Destiny music in our podcast for intros and outros as long as that's not the whole thing we're doing. So that's fine if they want to say cutscenes are just up to us now. You know.
Yeah, I mean that, and it does, like, with as much charity work and stuff that they do, chances are like anything that they gain from this, because I'm sure Bungie will face some criticism about being money grubbing. It's basic, but I mean, with as much charity work as they do, chances are anything that they gain extra from doing this is probably just going to go on to the 10 blue million freaking charity efforts that they have.
Yeah, and they are big about that for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, aren't even are they even subscribable on Twitch? They probably are, but I'm wanting to say that they like put all those proceeds to some charity.
Yeah, I kind of recall that as well.
Right?
I think so.
Yeah. So that's good news. Excellent news there too. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
Indeed. So don't just post cutscenes another because they're
full cutscenes.
Full cutscenes. You can do clips, but
Well, basically, that's another thing I do like about Bungie is they do adhere to the transformable like copyright rule, right? As long as it's not the entire thing, you can use a snippet to like enhance whatever you're doing. That's fine. You can have like, if it's part of your gameplay, it could still be there. You're still fine. But as long as you're not like just intending to show essentially a movie, which sadly does kind of nip some people in the bud, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because 90% of content creators aren't even going to be touched by this anyway. So.
Right.
Oh no. Yeah. How full is your vault, Aero?
Dude, I made enough room a while back. I think I'm like 555 or something. I have trouble deleting stuff even to this day. I got blues in there. Like,
oh god.
Yep. Old school.
Just a fun little side question I had. Mine's getting full. I haven't been paying attention, but guess what full is for me? Only 289.
Oh my goodness. I wish.
I'm
still using my Postmaster right now. Like I had, I don't know, like 10 in there. I got that down to like 4 and locked them. Not that I need to be using my Postmaster, but I'm like, I'm not taking it out of there. Just stay there for now.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
even
like
with my
Sin said-
OCD brain, like it's like I'm taking advantage of these storage areas.
Yeah, yeah, and then, or like Sin said, we might as well use another 10 that we can store in the postmaster for Ascendant shards, and then even if you need to place more, you can get most of it back if you place them into class items. If you just need to burn some, even if you don't know what you want yet, and then you can melt those later and get, I think it's like 80 or 90% back. So
Yeah, I don't know what the
bad on
percentage
that.
is.
It's pretty good though. It's pretty good. Yep. Well, we had a lot of fun talk tonight. We talked about what you've been up to. We reminisced. We talked about Destiny. And anything else you want to bring up is fine, but I do have a bonus question that we like to ask guests when they come on the show.
Awesome.
And it's a very, very complicated question. No. What's your favorite dessert?
Favorite dessert? Oh, that's probably kind of complicated for me.
It can be. It can be.
Yeah, I'm definitely a sweets person, but I'm like all over the place. If I'm like gonna go to bed and sit down and, well, I'm a midnight snacker, so first and foremost, but like you can't beat just a little Debbie or some Oreos with a glass of milk. I love milk, so like that's up there. But if it's like middle of the day, you said dessert, right? Did you say dessert?
Yeah, you can take us however you want.
Well, see, I was gonna say I'd throw candy in there, man, because I'm definitely a candy eater. So like, if it's middle of the day or something, give me some like fruity sweets, candy, sugary candy, and I'm doing pretty good too. But yeah, I love my milk and cookies though, or Twinkie. I haven't had a Twinkie in forever. See what you're doing? I might have to pick.
You're coming up with lots of ideas. I love it. That's why I love asking. Yep.
Now, if you're talking like cooked dessert, I'm picking like all this stuff store bought. Like, you can't beat like a angel food cake, like strawberries and whipped cream or something like that.
Yeah,
or yeah, that's all good. Or just a classic store bought like double layered chocolate cake.
See, I just have the.
I say store bought. Yeah, when I say store bought, I mean like you still make it, but it comes with the icing, and that. My parents would make me that growing up. That's a good one too. Of course, with milk though. It's all centers around a glass of milk.
Truth.
Oh, excellent. Well, no worries. And if we ever have you on again, then I can narrow it down next time, so you won't have to think as much.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. You guys are great. I really appreciate you having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Of course. Yeah, we better let you go. So we had a wonderful talk tonight. But before we truly go, just tell everyone like how people can find you. And also, we have put a link for your Discord in our Discord. But just kind of remind everyone all your deets.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Again, thank you to you guys. It's been so cool catching up over the last little bit. Obviously, we've talked here and there over a period of time, but it's been a pleasure. Love jumping in your Discord too. And a shout out to the Dirt Fam, Destiny Reset. Love all you guys. Love the team. You can find me now. I'm still AER0KNIGHT in the game. A lot of you are friends with me. AER0KNIGHT with a 0. But on Twitter and all the kind of social feeds, you can find me at endmuser. And our new channel, probably the best way to find all our links on the channel my family and I create is endmuser. Like you said earlier, it's ENDMUSER, and the Twitter's at endmuser. So you can find that endmuser gaming. It's probably where you'd look on YouTube, and then we've got all the links and the banner and stuff on the channel. But yeah, no, really appreciate it, guys. It's been a lot of fun. I look forward to chatting more and maybe playing some Destiny together and with some of you guys.
Oh, thank you so much. And real quick, you can find our show at theguardianhub.com.
The best hub on the net.
Thank you, Sin. Thank you, Des. Thank you so much, AER0KNIGHT. We really appreciate you being on tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening this week, and have a good one.
No land beyond.
Bye. Yeah.